Hey, what's up everybody? This is the Big JB from Morning Thunder. That's right, doing another one. And this one is kind of important, and I needed to do it because I wanted to get my thoughts out verbally, because trying to write them out and post them on Facebook or Twitter or whatever is just too much, too time consuming, and just easier to say things out loud. I'm sorry, I'm hanging out in my backyard, so if you're hearing bird noises or the wind or whatever, that's what's going on. Plus my dog is sitting over there in the yard chilling. That's Truman. He's an awesome dog. Boston Terrier, great dog. Ah, yeah, you're great. Thank you. Yeah. 3 years ago, on June 23rd, my wife was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And so we're at the 3-year anniversary, and I was gonna post something on the day, but there was a lot of other things going on, and I just had a lot of thoughts. And I've done some processing since then, so I don't have as many thoughts as I did at the time. But one thing I do want to point out, one of the things I'm going to bring up, is about reframing. And I'm detecting aviation now. It's just that it's such a nice day outside. I wanted to record out here. So, reframing. It would be easy for me to say, ugh, 3 years, boo, stupid anniversary, 3 years of having to live with this. But let's look at it a different way. 3 years of living. That is way awesome. It's longer than she would have lived without the treatment that she's been getting. And so that's a good thing. It's a really good thing. And those 3 years have been awesome. There have been some great things that have happened in those 3 years because of the perspective that we've gained on life and how much we want to enjoy it, how much we should take risks, experience as much as we can, within reason, obviously. I'm not gonna go out and do drugs just to experience it, because life is short. That's stupid. But you know, doing things that I wouldn't necessarily do otherwise, because I'm concerned with what people would think or say or whatever. Life's too short for some of that crud. And I don't tend to be very shy anyway with the things that I say, but as I've gotten older, I've certainly become more, I guess, diplomatic, in where I want to be careful with the things that I say, and I want my words to be well thought out. But I also don't want to offend people. Sometimes what that means, what that ends up meaning, is that I don't say what I mean. And sometimes there's confusion that gets added into that, and I don't want that to happen either. And so I'm just trying to do stuff directly, instead of putting stuff off or avoiding things or being passive, like actually taking action on things. Yes, I changed positions. Look at that blue sky. Isn't that gorgeous? I love Washington. Anyway, so the other thing that I was thinking about was just the stuff that we've had to deal with going through all of this, and being able to acknowledge the fact that it sucks. Not in a mean way, not in an angry way or blaming anybody, but it sucks. It's inconvenient. It's a pain in the butt having to go to chemotherapy, even if you're only going once a month. It's a pain. You know, even if the chemotherapy drug only supposedly takes an hour to an hour and 15 minutes to infuse, there's still the check-in process. They're still waiting for the pharmacy to make sure that the drug is approved by the doctor. If the records aren't updated for some reason, have to make sure that the doctor gets those in. Then there's the pre-medication, which involves saline solution and Benadryl and something else to help prevent any kind of allergic reactions. So you do the pre-meds, which takes about half an hour. Then you do the actual meds, and then there's a 5-minute post-med rinse that they have to get. And so all of that process ends up meaning, even if you only have an hour and a half of a infusion, we're driving into Seattle. That's an hour drive roughly. So we're gonna be in Seattle for a minimum of 3 hours. Usually it's 4 or longer. When she was getting the other chemotherapy, where it was like a 2-hour infusion, it was pretty much all day. And so we just planned for it to be all day. Only once a month is awesome. Love the new chemotherapy that she's on. And having to do it once a month is fantastic. So once a month is way better than doing it once a week. The things that I do like about those days, though, are the extra time I get to spend with my wife. Yesterday we had a phenomenal, no, not yesterday, 2 days ago, we had a phenomenal conversation on our way to chemotherapy, and we talked a lot about things that I was dealing with and I was processing, and she was available to listen and had some really good perspective herself. So because of the things that we've gone through, we've been able to help each other through different things that we're wrestling with. So it's been really cool. You know, I can't decide whether the initial diagnosis or the news that she had a recurrence was the harder of the two to receive. I think they're both about equal for me. Statistics being what they are, and it's really hard to acknowledge statistics, but statistics being what they are, the chance of a woman being cured of ovarian cancer with the first round of chemotherapy and surgery, or whatever the first round of treatment is that they offer, is pretty slim, even for a young woman like my wife. So the chance of recurrence is high. We were determined to beat those odds, and really looking at, you know, we're gonna do that. We're gonna beat those odds. We didn't, and you know, not yet anyway. And that sucks. And that was really hard to find out that she'd had a recurrence. But you know, we're not giving up. We're not giving up hope. Her doctors aren't giving up, and that's what, you know, our whole journey and our whole battle is all about, is not giving up and doing whatever we need to do to see that she lives a long and healthy life. That's all we can do. I wrote on Facebook some things that I remembered, you know, about that day, and one of the things that sticks out in my mind that is the most, probably something that I will never ever forget. A good friend of mine named Tim, and on our church we have a motto that no one stands alone, or no man stands alone, depending on, you know, if we're at a men's event or whatever. And so we're in, you know, I'm in the hospital room, we're just waiting to talk to the doctor. It was early in the morning. I can't even remember exactly what time. I think it was like 7 something, and he showed up, and I went over and gave him a big hug, and he said, he had a smile on his face before I even gave him a hug. He said, "No one stands alone." And he gave me a hug, and I almost broke down crying right then and there. And then he was in the room when the doctor showed up and we got the diagnosis, and he almost fainted, just like I did. And he took me to lunch after we got the diagnosis and some other things were processed, so that I could get out of that room and I could get, you know, it's just a change of pace. Bugs, sorry. Freaked out because there's one crawling on me. That's what happens when you're sitting in the grass. Anyway, don't know where my dog is going. Anyway, and so he got me out of the room to give me a change of scenery, kind of take my mind off things a little bit, verbally process some things, which was also helpful. But you know, that day and the days since then have been hard. There's no denying it, but the amount of support that we've received from our family and friends, the amount of love that we've shared in our family, the way that we've grown together, the way that we're coping, it's all been amazing. So it really is a hallmark. And I think even though it's about something that's really horrible, I think that it's one that I want to honor, because it's one more year. You know, it's one more year of life. And that's awesome. When it's one more year without cancer, it'll be even better celebration for sure. That day's coming, but you know, until then we just keep on going and do the treatments that we have available. A couple things from the cancer treatment that we've discovered since then. So in talking with the doctor, so those of you who have been affected by cancer, and chances are there's quite a few of you have been impacted, whether it's personally or through somebody in your family, chances are you've heard people talk about high fructose corn syrup and a lot of other dietary or fasting kinds of things that can help cure, or doing a high acidic diet, etc. The one thing to consider when you're reading or hearing about those things is the fact that those are often based on one case study. In addition to that, not one case study, it's usually just a few case studies, and it doesn't always relate to the same kind of cancer. We asked our doctor about that, about what to avoid and what kind of sugars to avoid, and you know, we have practically done away with high fructose corn syrup in our diet altogether. I have been a total, what's the word I can use, a non-offensive word. I've gone a little disciplinarian, I guess, a little drill sergeant about there not being high fructose corn syrup in the house, not having things that contain high fructose corn syrup in general, cut way back on soda, etc. And I think that that's appropriate because cancer is a hypermetabolic cell, so it'll consume whatever energy you can give it. We asked the doctor about avoiding sugar, just because, you know, in my heart, I wanted to know if something were to happen, God forbid, if something were to happen to my wife, and we didn't do everything that we could, I would be angry, and I would be angry at myself, potentially angry at my wife, for not respecting things that would have made a difference, or not trying things that would have made a difference, like diet, exercise, and that kind of stuff. So rather than sit on it and worry about it, I went ahead and asked our doctor, and I just said, so tell me about diet and exercise and things with ovarian cancer. And he said that with ovarian cancer, there is no current research that says that anything you take in through your mouth has an impact on what happens with ovarian cancer. He says colon cancer, for example, is obvious. If you don't get enough fiber, you increase your chances of getting colon cancer. That's just the way that it is. And so people need to eat more fiber. People need to do whatever they need to improve that. But that's not the case with ovarian cancer. Might be the case with, you know, breast cancer. But in general, he said, you know, good, healthy lifestyle, good, balanced diet is important. He neither confirmed nor denied the high fructose corn syrup, but clearly, since that is a super sugar, I want to do away with it, and it's linked to other health risks. So I'm fine not doing that, or having a soda occasionally, very occasionally, that's fine. So I thought that was really interesting. And I think that in our society, we just want to kill cancer and get rid of it. So we look for these methods that will do the trick to get rid of all cancer. And so we will say, well, if it works for breast cancer, it must work for ovarian cancer, which isn't the same. It's the same reason why one kind of chemo might work for somebody and not for somebody else for exactly the same kind of chemo, because it has to do with the cellular mutation that is affecting that person. Okay, so video getting long here, so I'm going to try to wrap it up. One more thing. One of the other things that we've been wrestling with, and I don't know how many of you know this. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably do, and on Facebook. But in January, I was laid off from my job. It was done without any sort of warning. It was done without any sort of performance evaluation. It came out of the blue, hit me square between the eyes. I still, to this day, nearly 6 months later, nope, excuse me, it's 5 months later, have no idea what happened or why it happened. And the thing that's really sad about it is that with the 3rd anniversary coming around, I thought about how supportive my manager and the CEO of the company were when we got the diagnosis. They were so supportive. They even did things like change how quickly I accrued vacation time for hours worked, so that I could make sure to have time off when I needed it to take care of medical things. And you know, they said repeatedly, if you've got a chemo day and you can't work from home, then take it off. I want to make sure that you're taken care of and that you're not going to burn yourself out. So supportive. I couldn't believe it. And that's what I told everybody about how much I enjoyed working there, is that the company was very supportive. Fast forward to January 2018, when I'm let go of, no idea what happened, no idea why. I can only speculate on things. And I did post a video briefly, I think it was in February maybe, and thanks to the advice of a couple viewers, they said, you know, with there being this no slander clause or whatever, you might want to take this video down if you don't trust them. I don't, but I'm also not slandering them, and I'm not going to badmouth the company. What I'm saying is, it's really sad to me and really heartbreaking that somebody, a couple people who I had considered really strong parts of my support network, seem to have changed and are no longer in my life. And that's really hard. That's really hard for me. I have a lot of other people who are in my support network, but people who cared so much about me and seem to be so supportive, changing so dramatically to the point where it's almost a 180. It's really hard. It's been really hard for me this year. So that's it. I don't mean to end on a downer. Like I said, I'm reframing everything. The time that I've had off of work, I've been enjoying it with my family immensely. Here comes the wind. Sorry if it's cutting me off. I've been enjoying the time off with my family immensely. It's helped me to reassess some things. My kids say I'm less stressed. It's been a really positive time overall. It helped me to appreciate where I am now, where I was, and how much better it's going to be for me somewhere else from a working standpoint. So that's it, folks. Thank you so much for watching through this whole video. I hope it sparks ideas, questions, comments. Feel free to leave them in the comments down below, or on Twitter at VOICEOFTHEBIGJB, or if you're a friend of mine on Facebook, otherwise, you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.